Odale, vato. It's Taco Garje. Taco Garje. And guess what I got for you today? You know, I've been watching lots of stand-up comics. I watch this Jeff Foxworthy guy. He does this "You Might Be A Redneck" joke, you know, and I laughed so hard my freaking sombrero went shooting all the way across the room like a UFO. If you stare at the can of frozen orange juice because it says concentrate, you might be a redneck. Oh, that's so funny, dude. You know, I want to do something like that, you know. Why should, like, the gringos have those kind of funny jokes? You know, you could do that with the Mexicans like me. And guess what? I have a list right here. We're not rednecks, you know. I had to think of like a catchphrase, so I thought of T.M.O. You know what that stands for, it says? Typical Mexican operations. I like what we do on a daily basis, you know. So, like, you know, the premise is like the same as you might be a redneck. Just change it to typical Mexican operation. I give you an example. If your van has no seat belts or no seats, so they can hide two families in the vehicle, typical Mexican operation. If you have been to a baby shower for a 13-year-old, typical Mexican operation. If you see a piece of shit car or truck with gold-plated rims, typical Mexican operation. If you think a GED is a grande enchilada dinner, typical Mexican operation. If the only comeback someone can give you is in Spanish, T.M.O. ese. If you know someone who takes 3 naps a day during their job, typical Mexican operation. If someone gets their car repossessed because their 4 kids didn't help pay for the car payment, typical Mexican operation. If you take up every single washer and dryer in the laundromat, typical Mexican operation. If you know someone who shaved their mustache off because everyone thought she was her older brother, typical Mexican operation. If you know someone that has more kids than they have teeth, typical Mexican operation. If buffing her carpet and waxing her floors had nothing to do with a female body, typical Mexican operation. If you have a PhD in janitoriology, typical Mexican operation. Sí. If you know someone who buys cigarettes in a soft pack, typical Mexican operation. Seriously, Mexicans love the soft pack. I don't know why. If you know someone who don't get a job because their back hurts, T.M.O. If you see someone go to the grocery store and they buy like $60 worth of crab legs and they pay with food stamps, typical Mexican operation. If you know people who can run really fast when immigration officers are present, typical Mexican operation. If you think that soccer is when you discipline your wife, typical Mexican operation. If you got a part-time job selling tamales, typical Mexican operation. If you know someone who uses cilantro in everything they cook, T.M.O. If you know someone who got pregnant because her teacher told her to do an essay, typical Mexican operation. If you go to country buffet every Thanksgiving because you work there, typical Mexican operation. If you think that going green is when you finally get your American citizenship, typical Mexican operation. If your Christmas bonus is given to you by the government, T.M.O. If you got fired for being a fireman because you cannot tell the difference between Jose and Hose B, T.M.O. If you know somebody who is named Juan Lazy Beaner, T.M.O. If you've ever asked the question, Why is hot deli food not eligible for food stamps? Typical Mexican operation. If you have ever seen the Virgin Mary in your food, typical Mexican operation. And finally, if your 5-year-old son has to order fast food for everyone in the family because he's the only one who speaks English, typical Mexican operation. And that's all you got, you know. I'm gonna do stand-up, you know. I'm gonna be like, you know, like Jeff Foxworthy, except I'm gonna play the trumpet. So I'm gonna take those jokes and I'm gonna be big like Jeff Foxworthy. Or at least big in Mexico. Because all the Mexico love taco Garje. And my voice is giving out, so I'll see you next time. If you do all your shopping at the Mile High Marketplace, typical Mexican operation. Only Colorado people will get that. That's where I bought my Rey Mysterio and Mystical masks. Just to let you know.